welcome to my fifth book review. This time around, I decided to try something new. I tried to read an Arabic novel that I randomly selected at the last international book fair that I was at, which was a couple of months back in 2021. The title of the book is صبابة القهوة Rummana, which literally translates into my mother, the coffee pourer, Rummana, which is her name. Now, my disclaimer is that, to be honest, I haven't read a novel in Arabic in so many years. So beginning to read the book and sort of like getting into the momentum of the story was definitely a challenge for me, regardless of how simple the style the book is written in. But I only picked up speed towards like the middle half, as I felt it started to flow more naturally and the author has become somewhat comfortable in her pace. Now, I started out with an open but still somewhat skeptical mind, and after the first like 10 pages or so, decided outright that I didn't like the book. Yet again, as I got deeper and deeper, I began to develop a new appreciation for the main character, Rummana. Also, the way that the story is told is in flashbacks, which I feel is a very popular style, and it fits a more sporadic type of story retelling. And yet, although it can be seen as a bit lazy, I think it kind of still was in some sort of chronological order. And at the end of the day, you know, that's just the poetic license of the author. They're free to do whatever they want. So without further ado, here is what the story is about. The novel tells the tale of a woman from the moment she was forced to flee her war-torn home country, that is Eritrea, to Sudan during the Ethiopian war in 1975, up to her mid-50s when she is obliged to migrate yet again to present-day Canada. In detail, Rummana, the main character, a married teenager, flees first to Sudan with her mother. Now, she's already experienced the death of her first baby at birth back in Eritrea. In Sudan, where she is reunited with her husband who comes to visit from Saudi Arabia, she finds she's pregnant again, but her baby daughter dies after becoming severely ill. Her husband, Tahir, resides in Saudi Arabia, as I said, where he works at a government job and where Rummana eventually prepares to migrate. Once she does so, she starts to settle down and they have 5 children, in particular 2 boys and 3 girls. Now, as Tahir and Rummana struggle to make ends meet as refugees in a strange country, and their children grow up in Riyadh, that becomes the only home they ever come to know. Tahir's diabetes worsens and he develops gangrene of the foot. Now, inevitably, he becomes bedridden and Rummana is left to her own devices to fend for her ill husband and 5 children. She takes up a modest part-time job as the coffee pourer, which in Arab tradition is the occupation of a person who pours Arabic coffee in little cups for guests during special occasions like weddings, funerals, and whatnot. She starts out quite humbly, but with the years develops her skill and eventually becomes the only one that high-profile people want in their events. What we learn through her hustle and her journey overall is that she is a woman of integrity. She is a woman with a high moral standing and a strong work ethic. She is known for never asking people for financial support, even if put in situations where she is in desperate need of it and can easily actually acquire it. She's extremely self-reliant, self-resilient, and figures things out on her own. Now, Tahir eventually has to have his leg amputated, after which he becomes bitter, resentful, and inconsistent in his attitude with others. And I think the author really deserves credit for portraying that picture of despair so well that the reader will truly feel that. Tahir arbitrarily issues an order that one of his daughters, who is still in high school, is to marry her cousin, who is like older than her by maybe like 10 to 15 years. Now, before Tahir passes away, he gets to see that daughter get married, who did so only out of a sense of obligation to make her father happy. Also, the one son who was just about to travel overseas to continue his studies altogether cancels his flight and puts a hold on his future in order to help out his mother make a decent living after the passing away of their father, Tahir. So as time passes, the children marry, and that daughter, who was somewhat forced into her marriage, gets divorced with the support of her mother and her siblings. But since again Rummana is and her family is they're still technically considered refugees, since the sponsorship of her husband's work has been cancelled, she has to move yet again. In the end, she migrates to Canada with her son and his wife and kid. Now, my favorite thing about the book is its nostalgic sense, which I feel is like a filter to how the stories are told through the veil of memory. There are some memorable references to moments that are like glorified in the author's memory, which I feel are quite relatable or poignant to audiences in the Gulf region, perhaps. For example, there's the mention of a specific popular Saudi Arabian series that airs during Ramadan. And also there's a popular Arabic pop ballad that came out in the 90s that was a big hit. So theme-wise, the most obvious theme is semi-permanent sense of alienation, that feeling of constantly having to seek a place that will accept you, with open arms, with no judgment or discrimination. And yet what I took away from it personally is that the definition of home isn't necessarily confined to the physical land that you grew up in, but also a feeling of unity, of togetherness, camaraderie, loyalty among you and your family, be they adopted or biological, that remains with you wherever you go. So all in all, I'd rate the book 3.5 stars out of 5. That's it for me, folks. Till next time. Ciao.